Ah, the mind, that delicate, chaotic little box of whispers, doubts, and screams. People walk around pretending it's all fine up there, like there isn't a war going on behind their eyes, smiles painted on like masks at a masquerade. But behind closed doors, it's madness, pure, raw, unfiltered madness. They don't talk about it. They don't want to admit it, because if you say your mind's not okay, they call you broken, damaged, dangerous. They label you, sedate you, toss you into little corners of silence, hoping you'll forget how loud it is inside your skull. But oh, I remember. I remember every ticking second, every sleepless night, every voice that told me I was slipping. I didn't need another pill or another fake it's going to be okay. Ah, madness, what a lovely little word. So misunderstood, so misdiagnosed. They call it a problem, a disease, a malfunction of the mind, but what if it's none of those things? What if it's a message, a siren from the depths? Not a glitch in the code, but the code finally making sense. People walk around pretending their thoughts are tidy little boxes all labeled and locked away, but the truth is, thoughts aren't boxes. They're wild animals, screaming, biting, laughing when you cry. And when one of those creatures escapes the cage, they call it madness. Isn't that funny? Now here's where it gets really interesting. When the world whispers one thing, but your mind roars another. When everyone around you says everything's fine, but your soul says, run. That right there is not madness. That is clarity. That's reality shaking off its mask. And if you're lucky, if you're truly blessed with a little bit of chaos, you'll start hearing it, that soft voice under the noise, the signal hiding in the static, the one saying, get out, look deeper. They're all asleep, but you, you're waking up. People spend their lives medicating their instincts. They swallow pills. They drown in distraction. They chant mantras until their heads go numb. But what if your racing heart, your trembling hands, that echo in your skull, what if that's not dysfunction? What if that's a warning bell? The house is burning, and you're the only one smelling smoke. The world loves to sedate the alarms because they're uncomfortable, but discomfort is the beginning of every revelation. Now imagine this. You're sitting in silence, not because you want peace, but because the noise inside is louder than any crowd. Thoughts racing, looping, screaming nonsense, and secrets all at once. And then one thought cuts through. Not loud, not violent, just calm. It says, this isn't madness. This is a message. That moment, that crack in the wall, it's not the end. It's the opening. So what do? You stop fighting it. You lean in. You let the madness speak, not to destroy you, but to show you. It's the mirror nobody wants to look into. It doesn't show your face, it shows your truth. And truth, truth is ugly, raw. But it's real. So much more real than their fake smiles, their polite nods, their how are you that don't want real answers. You stop labeling yourself broken. You stop asking why you don't fit in, because you finally realize you're not supposed to. They fit into a system built on lies. You were made to see the cracks. You were made to bleed honesty while they plaster plastic over everything. That panic, that dread, that aching itch that something is wrong even when everything looks right, That's the realest thing you've ever felt. That's not madness, darling. That's awakening. They try to fix you with lectures, with drugs, with sermons that taste like cardboard. But you don't need fixing. You need to listen. The madness isn't screaming because you're weak. It's screaming because you're strong enough to handle the truth. You can't unsee what's real once you've seen it. You can't unknow the lie once the mask slips. So they call you crazy, because it's easier to call you names than admit you're right. There is no peace in pretending. There is no healing in hiding. The only way out is through the fire, through the voices, through the wild forest of your own unraveling. And at the center of that chaos, if you're brave enough to stay, is clarity, still, silent, smiling. Not the kind of clarity they put on posters, the kind that knows things you're not supposed to know, the kind that makes you dangerous. Because once you hear the signal beneath the madness, once you realize the alarm was never meant to be silenced, you become something they fear. Not a patient, not a victim, but a rebel, a prophet of your own pain, a whisperer of truths they've buried. And that, my friend, is not insanity. That is power. Pain, now there's a loyal friend. Never lies to you, never fakes a smile. You cut yourself on the edge of this world and pain reminds you, hey, you're alive. But oh no, they don't like that kind of honesty, do they? They want your pain sterilized, shrink-wrapped, and marketed as character building. They want you to put a bow on it like it's a gift. But pain isn't a gift. It's a key. A beautifully jagged, rusted little key that opens a door no one wants to walk through. But you, you're already holding it, aren't you? You remember the moment it all cracked. That tiny little tremor in your chest that no one saw. The way your hands wouldn't stop shaking, even though your smile stayed intact. Funny, isn't it? The body always knows first. Before the mind catches up, before the lies can wrap themselves around your reality, you felt it, that something wasn't quite right, that the world, this performance, this daily circus, it wasn't built for you. Or maybe you weren't built for it. And instead of fixing the world, they told you to fix yourself. They'll tell you to breathe, to calm down, to think positive, that the world is what you make it, but you already know better. You've seen behind the curtain, you've heard the screaming silence no one talks about. You know that beneath the routine, the morning coffee, the workday grind, there's rot. Quiet, festering rot. And you can smell it. That's why they call you dramatic, sensitive, delusional, because you're not pretending like they are, because your skin doesn't numb like theirs. You feel it all, the rage, the sorrow, the absurdity. You're wide awake in a world full of sleepwalkers. And then one day, it happened, the verse. Not a spell, not a prayer, but something deeper. Words that cut through the noise like a scalpel, not whispered by angels, not shouted by preachers, just sitting there, waiting for you to see them. And when you did, it wasn't comfort, was it? No. It was confrontation, a violent kind of clarity. It didn't hug you. It slapped you, shook you, held up a mirror and said, look. You read those words, and for the first time in forever, you weren't confused. You were exposed. The verse didn't save you, it revealed you, peeled away the masks, lit the shadows, and when you looked in that mirror through those words, you didn't see a victim, you didn't see a mess, you saw a force, a storm that hadn't been named yet. The world had been trying to cage you, medicate you, silence you, but those words, they were the spark that said, burn the cage. Healing doesn't come in neat little stages. It's not a staircase. It's a demolition, a collapse, and if you're lucky, a rebirth. But to be reborn, something has to die. The fake version of you, the version they applauded, the version that smiled while your inside screamed. The verse was the knife, and you had the guts to use it. You tore through the illusion. You bled truth. And pain applaud. That's the thing. Healing doesn't feel good. It feels like madness, like war inside your bones. But slowly, piece by agonizing piece, you start realizing you're not breaking down. You're breaking out. Out of the roles, out of the rules, out of the lie that says being okay means being quiet. No, you weren't made to be quiet. You were made to roar. Every time someone told you to calm down, to fit in, to be strong, they were really saying, don't make us uncomfortable, but healing makes people uncomfortable because it's loud, it's ugly, it's uncontrollable, just like you, just like the truth. And that verse, it didn't ask for obedience, it demanded revolution. Inside your mind, inside your soul, it didn't promise peace. It promised freedom. And freedom, well, it always comes at a cost. So here you are, not healed in the way they expect, not soft, not silent, but real. And real is dangerous. Real is unpredictable. Real doesn't smile on command. That verse didn't make you better. It made you aware. And awareness, my friend, is a burden most can't carry. But you're still here, with your scars, with your noise, with your rage and your truth and your beautiful, chaotic, misunderstood mind. They always say it hits hardest when you least expect it. The irony, the cosmic joke. You're walking, breathing, pretending everything's fine, and then boom, a whisper. A feeling, that eerie little tingle crawling up your spine like some uninvited guest. No one else notices, of course. They keep typing, sipping, scrolling. But you feel it deep down where logic can't reach. And that's when you realize the shift has already started. The air's thicker, time slows, your gut clenches, and you're suddenly awake. In a dream, everyone else calls life. They say chills mean you're cold. Maybe you left the window open. Maybe the AC kicked in. Or maybe, just maybe, something bigger is brushing up against your soul, laughing softly in a language no one taught you. Something is trying to get your attention, but everyone's too busy looking for signs in the clouds or the stars or their bank accounts. But you feel the truth crawling under your skin. It starts with the goosebumps, that electric pulse running across your body like a silent alarm. Not fear, not excitement, something else entirely, like the universe breathing down your neck, reminding you that you're not as alone as you pretend to be. You're part of a show, not the comedy act the others are performing, but the real show, the ancient one. The show where whispers hold more power than screams and shivers tell more truth than sermons. You're walking through the noise, through the crowd, and suddenly your breath catches, something shifts, the street feels different. The lights buzz louder, your heartbeat syncs with something that isn't even there. That's the moment most people shrug off. Call it anxiety, call it stress, but it's not. It's the veil thinning. It's your instincts clawing their way back to the surface. It's your forgotten self waking up and stretching in a cage it never agreed to. They want you numb. Oh, they love when you're numb. It's easier that way. If you don't feel it, you won't question it. If you don't question it, you won't see the cracks. But the chills, they don't lie. They don't play along. They remind you, they warn you, they push you out of the dream and into the moment. And in that moment you see it all. The lies, the patterns, the eyes behind the mask. You can feel their energy shift before they even speak. You sense their intentions dripping off their fake smiles. You smell the decay behind their polished words. The chills, they're not weakness. They're code, a message, a download from something that doesn't care about your credentials or your calendar. It's not trying to flatter you, it's trying to wake you up. Every chill is a clue, every shiver is a map. But maps are useless to the blind, and most people, well, they've poked their own eyes out just to avoid seeing the truth. The real ones, though, the chosen ones, the misfits, the weirdos, they know. They feel the hum before the explosion. They walk into rooms and know who to trust without a single word. Because their skin talks, their bones talk. Their body knows before their mind catches up. They're tuned in, turned on, wired straight into the frequency of madness and meaning. And they've stopped trying to explain it. Because you can't explain a chill. You can't box it up and sell it. You can't translate it for people who've never felt it. It's like trying to describe color to someone who's only ever lived in shadows. You just feel it, and if you're brave enough, if you don't brush it off or laugh it away, it'll guide you. It'll drag you through fire and blood and silence, but it'll guide you. Funny thing is, the moment you start trusting it, everything else unravels. The fake friends fade, the pointless goals dissolve, the noise gets quieter, and in its place something else rises. A knowing, a clarity that isn't polite or safe. It's brutal, but it's yours. The chills stop being warnings, they become confirmations. Every step you take, they're with you, dancing on your skin like little ghosts saying, yes, this way. You walk differently now. You listen differently. You don't beg for validation. You don't chase belonging. 'Cause the chills tell you everything you need to know. About people, about moments, about yourself. They're the compass no one talks about, because once you start following them, you stop following the rules. You stop pretending, you stop complying, and that, well, that scares them more than anything. They always say people change when they get tired. Tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of pretending like the world is fair. But no one tells you what happens when you get tired of being tired. When the cracks in your smile start to show and the silence in your room grows louder than the people around you. When you stop answering calls, not because you're busy, but because your soul doesn't recognize the voices anymore. That's the part no one warns you about. The moment you outgrow the lies you once found comfort in. You were never meant to fit in. They raised you like a sheep, but designed your spirit like a wolf. Taught you to sit quietly in rows, stand in line, follow orders, clap when told, smile when uncomfortable, but your eyes have seen too much. Your skin has felt too much. You laugh at their routines because deep down you know the cage is invisible, and most people don't even try to leave it. But you're already halfway out. They called you crazy for feeling too deeply, for noticing the little things, for watching how someone's eyes shift when they lie, for sensing the tension before a storm, for crying over nothing, when nothing is never really nothing, is it? It's just everything that finally decided to scream. But they told you to calm down, to toughen up, to be normal. You tried. God knows you tried. But normal never fit you like it fit them. It scratched at your bones, made your dreams feel like nightmares in disguise. Every scar they gave you became a secret door, a portal. Pain taught you what peace couldn't. Rejection turned into redirection. Isolation morphed into elevation. And while they laughed at you, mocked your silence, ridiculed your solitude, you were being transformed, not fixed, not... They love to judge from their tiny windows, don't they? Sit in their little lives, sipping lukewarm coffee, scrolling through filtered pictures of people pretending to be happy. They call you bitter when you stop pretending. They call you arrogant when you start choosing yourself. They call you cold when you stop explaining your worth. But who made them the jury? Who handed them the gavel to rule over your existence like you owe them a version of yourself that keeps them comfortable? You walk with a new kind of quiet now, a stillness that speaks louder than your old scream, because you've realized you don't need to announce every evolution. The real ones feel it. The fake ones fear it. And the rest, well, they weren't meant to come with you anyway. You stopped trying to convince people to understand you. You stopped breaking yourself into bite-sized pieces just so you could be digestible to the shallow. Let them choke. They can't handle depth because they never dared to dive. You did, and you drowned a few times too. Came up gasping, bleeding, bruised, but look at you, still breathing, stronger, smarter, a little more ruthless maybe, a little less forgiving. And that's not a flaw, that's a boundary, the kind of line people never see until they've already crossed it. You've seen too many masks fall off to believe in smiles. Too many promises dissolve to trust sweet words. But still, you move, you rise, not because you're fearless, but because fear doesn't paralyze you anymore. It just sharpens your instincts. An instinct, that's the one thing they can't teach, the one thing they can't fake, the one thing that separates the dreamers from the chosen. Now you look around and everything feels quieter. The chaos is still there, of course, but it doesn't own you. It used to live inside you, rent-free, dictating your every thought, but now it's just noise outside the window. You choose what to let in, who to let close, what to believe, because you finally realize they never wanted you healed. They wanted you dependent, confused, predictable. And when you broke the script, they panicked. Your peace became a problem, your detachment a threat, your silence too loud. That's how you know you're doing it right. Because the moment they can't manipulate you, they label you difficult, complicated, toxic. But you're none of those things. You're aware of the games, aware of the patterns, aware of the price of pretending. So let them talk, let them twist the story. You're not here to be understood by those who benefit from misunderstanding you. You're here to break cycles, to rewrite the ending, to walk away without slamming the door, because real power doesn't scream, it just leaves. And what's scarier than someone who can't be baited, can't be broken? You didn't change for the worse, you changed for survival. And survival doesn't always look pretty. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's just you, sitting in a dark room, breathing through the ache, knowing you'll rise again, not because they want you to, but because you have to. They always say love comes softly, don't they? Whispering through the wind like a lullaby you weren't expecting, like the kind of melody you forgot how to hum. But what if I told you it doesn't always show up in candlelight or roses or poetic moments where the world pauses and the stars align? What if it comes when you're messy, when your soul is cracked like old porcelain, when your heart has forgotten what it feels like to beat without armor? That's the thing about love. It doesn't knock when you're ready. It barges in when you've locked all the doors. You've been holding yourself together with coffee and silence, pretending to be okay because breaking would be too loud, too inconvenient, too exposed. And while everyone else applauds your strength, claps for your composure, no one notices the tiny tremors in your smile, the flicker in your eyes when someone asks how you're doing. They don't see the nights when sleep doesn't come because your thoughts are too busy fighting each other. But love, real, raw, inconvenient love, doesn't care about your performance. It slips through the cracks when you're least prepared to receive it. You were taught that love had to look a certain way, tall, handsome, polished, secure, but no one mentioned the kind of love that makes you uncomfortable in the best way, the kind that forces you to confront the mirror, the kind that doesn't rescue you, but instead sits in the fire with you. No cape, no perfection, just presence. That's the kind of love that doesn't announce itself with flowers, but instead shows up with bandages and patience. And maybe, just maybe, that's what you needed all along. See, you built walls, not just fences. You built fortresses. Brick by brick, every betrayal a stone, every disappointment a layer, and now you live in a castle that's cold and quiet, safe but lonely. You've told yourself it's better this way. You've convinced yourself that solitude is peace, but even peace gets lonely. Even silence becomes deafening when your heart has been whispering, "Please let someone in," and your mind keeps saying, "They'll just hurt you again." But what if this time is different? What if love doesn't come to destroy your defenses, but to understand why you built them? What if someone comes who doesn't flinch when you're angry, who doesn't run when you go quiet, who sees the worst of you and still chooses you? What if they don't need the best version of you, just the honest one? No masks, no pretending, no roles to play, just you. With your chaos, your scars, your unpredictable moods. What if love finally feels like freedom instead of sacrifice? You've been told to wait, to be patient, that it'll come when you least expect it, but no one tells you what to do when it actually shows up, when your first instinct is to sabotage it, to push it away before it can leave, because that's what you're used to, isn't it? People leaving, people changing, people taking and taking until there's nothing left but a hollow shell wearing a fake grin. So when something real comes along, you get scared, not because it's wrong, but because it might actually be right. And right is terrifying. Because if you let yourself believe in it, you risk losing it. You risk depending on it. You risk needing someone again. And you promised yourself you'd never need anyone like that. Not after what happened. Not after who left. But love doesn't play by your rules. It doesn't care about your timelines, your deadlines, your carefully constructed illusions. It just arrives, like a storm you didn't see coming. And the only question is, will you hide from the thunder or dance in the rain? You think love is about butterflies and excitement and grand gestures, but real love? It's mundane, it's small moments. It's someone remembering how you take your coffee, someone noticing when you're quiet, someone holding you when you have no words left, someone who doesn't need to fix you, just be there while you heal yourself. It's not always magic, sometimes it's just someone sitting next to you in the dark and saying, "I'm not going anywhere." So maybe it's time to stop running, to stop pretending you don't want it, to stop punishing the next for what the last did. Maybe, just maybe, the unexpected isn't a threat. Maybe it's the gift. Maybe it's the shift. Maybe it's the soft reminder that you're still alive, still capable, still worthy of connection. And no, it won't look like the movies. It'll be messier, louder, quieter, more human, but it'll be real. And real is rare. You've spent so long surviving, you forgot what it feels like to live, to open your heart without a backup plan, to believe in something without proof, to let someone in without preparing for the fallout. But what if the fallout never comes? What if this time love isn't the fire, but the water that finally cools the burn?